Lewis in the Black Horse pub. Well, good morning and welcome to Mirador Television, broadcasting from the Black Horse pub. And it is got a real glow on this morning because it was on Monday, was it, Declan?
What's that?
You toad?
Monday night, yeah.
Monday night, they walked away with, there is a very proud Declan leading his team and holding the toad. Right, and they won the entire championship. They are top toad. I was going to say top dog, but that's silly, isn't it? They are top toad. They walked away, and that's there are dozens and dozens of teams that vie for this. There's the Black Horse. There's 4 and a reserve, I think, in the picture.
That's the chairman in the picture.
Oh, that's the chairman. Oh, we got the chairman in there. A new chairman, I understand. Is that right? Yeah.
New this season.
I'm interrupting him. He's busy running the pub for the moment. But nonetheless, it's just important enough for us to let you know that the Black Horse are toad champions. And for those people in Patagonia and points elsewhere, toad is a game in which you toss a coin, a metal disc, to a hole in what I can best describe as a school desk. And you score various points, how close you get it, and whether you actually get it cleanly into the hole. And that is a game of toads. It is played around the world, but the centre of activity is Sussex. It is a Sussex game, and that's where the World Championships were held.
Yeah, that's the 17th of April.
The 17th of April is what?
It's the World Championship.
The World Championships are 17th of April. Where are they being held?
At Lewis Town Hall.
At Lewis Town Hall again. Right. That's where they were the last time. So we shall expect great things from the Black Horse Toad team. There you are. Now, doesn't that perk up your day, right? Knowing that we've got the Toad champions. Yeah. And that's Declan. Declan, let me show you again. Is there, that's Declan holding the Toad trophy. And a very proud team they are as well. So savor them for a moment or two. Okay, we've got a good day lined up for you today. Wednesday is one of our busy days at 9 o'clock. We shall have Philip with John. That's John Prideaux, our AI expert, who will probe a little bit further into under the surface of AI and perhaps pop some of the balloons where extravagant claims are being made. And then at 10 o'clock, incidentally, Stuart Dolby is under the weather. He's got one of these things that's going around that's known as the 100-day cough. And so is incapable of talking. we're all very grateful, but it means that you're not getting the reports and the interviews that you enjoy so much. And but he will be back. Not well. I'm not sure whether it'll be next week because of the holiday, but certainly the week after he'll be returning, and he's got a couple of people lined up to be interviewed. So Mark maybe, Dr. Mark maybe, Professor Mark maybe will be on at 10, and we shall, as usual, have a wide-ranging interview with Mark. And well, it's not an interview; he's a correspondent, for God's sake. He dictates what's going to be in that. And then I think that I get a chance to have a little natter this morning after we said goodbye at 11. But so it's a pretty full morning. So we'd better, without more ado, get on and take a look at the news headlines. And oh no, let's give you the weather first. Because it is cool out there at the moment, but there is some sun shining through. It's not going to start raining until about 10 o'clock. And even then, there's only a 12% chance of rain. It's not until noon that the real threat of rain comes along, with a 68% chance of rain. The 10 degrees high and 6 degrees low, with light rain and a fresh breeze. But it's difficult to tell when that rain is going to come. Certainly, it's not here at the moment. It's it's 6 minutes past 7 minutes past 8, and we've actually got sun peeking through the clouds. But there are some puffy clouds around, and it's possible that we will get some rain. But as the day progresses, it's about 1 o'clock. It's time to dive into the pub. In fact, the Black Horse opens its doors at 12 o'clock, so you can dive into the Black Horse to get out of the rain, and it's going to rain just in time to drive you in here. So Declan is getting an extra barrel up from the cellar in anticipation. Right, okay, now to the serious stuff. The Metro, the London paper, has chosen as its headline, Heartbreak Bridge. Heartbreak Bridge. The Baltimore bridge disaster, where yesterday, in case you missed it, although it's very difficult to miss, hang on, I'm just making sure that yes, we're with you. We're with you. So I sometimes can't see the main. There we go. I put on a monitor so I can tell that we are broadcasting. Disaster after container ship collision. There's a container ship hit the bridge, and I'm not sure. I'm trying to see which river it is. Anyway, they say that it says Heartbreak Bridge. Search for survivors as crossing collapses, like a Hollywood movie scene. So Heartbreak Bridge headlines the Metro. reporting on the collapse of a bridge struck by a container ship in Baltimore on Tuesday. The paper reports a Mayday signal saved dozens of lives. It's heartbreaking, it quotes Maryland Governor Wes Moore as saying. And there are workers, nobody knows how many people have died. They're still looking for bodies. The Daily Telegraph also carries the bridge disaster as its front page story. Heroes Mayday alert saved countless lives in the Baltimore bridge crash. An aerial picture of the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge spans the width of the Telegraph. The broadsheet leads with churches undermining the asylum system, according to Home Office sources. We'll get onto that in a minute. The comments follow the release of immigration files on Clapham chemical attacker Abdul Shakur Ezedi, who was granted asylum after he claimed he had converted to Christianity, with his application backed by a Baptist church minister. We're not getting quite what we expect in terms of the text for the bridge disaster, but we'll get the details in a minute. In fact, let's see if we can get the details now, because it's a big story, and there are a variety of stories and front pages of the newspapers today, but that's the main one. Just looking down here. Dramatic pictures of the twisted wreckage of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore featured on many front pages. The Sun says it was gone in 3 seconds after being hit by a container ship, which the paper says suffered a catastrophic engine failure. The Guardian has a close-up of the ship's bow, which was sliced open by the falling bridge. It says the vessel was also involved in a collision in the port of Antwerp in Belgium in 2016. The Times says that an inspection of the ship at the time found it had hull damage, impairing its seaworthiness, but it's still carried on. So that's all I can tell you about the disaster. It is so dramatic that we'll get more detail as the morning wears on. So following on the Telegraph, well, let's go back to the Telegraph, because it shows a picture of the ship and the bridge collapsed. But its main story is that churches are undermining asylum system, and it says the broadsheet leads with undermining the asylum system, according to Home Office sources. The comments follow the release of immigration files on Clapham chemical attacker. I tried his name a moment ago, Abdul Shakur Ezedi, who was granted asylum after he claimed he had converted to Christianity, with his application backed by a Baptist church minister. The paper goes on to say, elsewhere, plans to build a swimming pool at ex-Spice Girl Jerry Horner's country retreat has been branded disrespectful by neighbours who fear it will ruin their Northamptonshire village. What do you expect from Nouveau Riche, for God's sake? Daily Mail. Clapham chemical attacker asylum fiasco. A judge doubted his account. He failed questions on Christianity and was convicted sex offender. But an Afghan was still allowed to stay as a convert. The Daily Mail leads with the fallout over Azedi's asylum claim, describing it as an asylum fiasco. The paper says Azedi failed a test on Christianity, even though he claimed to be a convert. In spite of those concerns, a judge allowed his asylum on appeal, saying on balance his religious conversion was genuine. The paper also reported recently widowed Kate Garraway has been left with a £1.5 million of debts over her husband's care. That's been a fairly high-profile story, is Kate Garraway's husband. The Daily Express, once again, a picture of the ship and the Tangle Bridge, but it also leads with chemical attacker given asylum, despite failing a Christianity test. Chemical attacker given asylum, despite failing Christianity test, headlines the Daily Express as it reports on the Abdul Shakur Azedi asylum row. The front page carries a still image from a video of the moment the Baltimore Bridge collapsed. The Times. Mayday call before cargo ship rammed into the bridge saved lives. It shows, once again, a picture of the cargo ship and the bridge. It's collapsed. But its main headline is just 1 in 4 say the NHS is working. The Times reports satisfaction with the NHS failing into an historic low, with only 1 in 4 saying they believe the NHS is working. The annual report by the King's Fund and Nuffield Trust think tank found seeing a GP was the biggest source of frustration. It fell to 24% from 29% last year. The paper also tests a £4,000 ironing board, which comes with Bluetooth technology. The Eye. State pension age may rise to 68 sooner in order to pay for triple lock pledge. The Eye says the state pension age may rise to 68 in order to pay for the triple lock, a commitment to increase state pensions by whichever is higher of average increases in wages, inflation, or consumer price index, or 2.5%. The paper says the Prime Minister is committed to the policy at a cost of around £49 billion if Conservatives win the next election. Well, The Guardian. CBI stops staff discussing sexual misconduct and bullying claims. Now, this is the bit where I did a long rant yesterday because I'm terribly upset by nipping free speech in the bud. The Guardian leads with the report which says the CBI, that's the Confederation of British Industry, using gagging clauses to prevent staff discussing experiences of sexual misconduct and bullying. It writes up to 10 non-disclosure agreements have been signed in the past year at the scandal-hit lobbying group. Elsewhere, the paper says more than 4 million hours of raw sewage discharges were poured into the rivers and seas last year. That's in the UK. A 129% increase on the past 12 months. Once again, there is a really quite dramatic close-up picture of the bow of the freighter that the bridge crushed as it fell. The Mirror, Harry and the Rap Stars, Sex Party Lawsuit. Oh, right. Well, there's a bit of a scandal again in a legal thing by a rap star. It's going on in court, and Harry has been cited as his name has been used to attract people to some of the parties. Although the paper does stress that there's no suggestion that Harry's done anything wrong. Traitors is the main headline in the Mirror. And it reports on two Britons it claims are fighting for Vladimir Putin's Russia in Ukraine. They're a disgrace, a former British Army officer. It's only two. That's quite low, really, compared to the people that, for instance, fought for the Nazis, or like Lord Haw. Issued their propaganda, for which, incidentally, Haw was executed. The Financial Times. It leads with shares in former President Donald Trump's social media platform are soaring as the firm makes its formal debut on the stock market. It will inject more than $200 million into Trump Media and Technology Group, which runs Truth Social, and hands the former president a stake worth more than $4 billion. The broadsheet runs with a gripping up-close picture of the collapsed bridge lying on the crushed bow of the cargo ship known as Dali. The Sun. It's got it in its banner, traitors. Harry named in a P. Diddy sex traffic case. A young Prince Harry is pictured with rappers Diddy and Kanye West on the front page of The Sun. That is because the prince has been mentioned in legal filings against Diddy, alleging the rapper uses the royal's name to give legitimacy to parties where serious illegal activity took place. Diddy is accused of sexual assault in a lawsuit by a record producer. Prince Harry is not accused of any wrongdoing. Diddy's attorney has previously denied all of the allegations made against him in recent lawsuits. And the Star, which normally gives us a nice little a bit of a lift, a grin. Cheery gardener censored by despot over a pair of jeans. It's Kim Jong-un's war on Alan Titchmarsh imperialist trousers. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is mocked up in a photograph, hiding in bushes on the front of the Daily Star. The paper writes TV gardener and broadcaster Alan Titchmarsh has been censored by the regime's TV bosses who blurred out his jeans during a rerun of his gardening program. Jeans are seen as a sign of US imperialism in the country and have been banned. There's quite a bit really in the front pages this morning, and there is the issue of the church. The church has, I suppose, really one would expect it, has been very, very lenient and in some ways supportive of the raft people, the boat people, and now it's coming into a conflict situation, because the government is under attack for not doing enough to stop immigration, and the church is being Christian and saying we really must look after as many people as we possibly can. And controversially, it's obviously lowered how to become a Christian considerably. And the fact is that if you do become a Christian and adopt Christianity, then you should know at least a few things about it. But it seems as if not. Now, the story which I think is most important and is affects us locally is the Times. Just 1 in 4 say the NHS is working. Just 1 in 4 believe in the NHS. And if you recall, just at lockdown, to support the NHS, which is faced with horrendous problems in terms of how many people it might look after, is that everybody stood on their balconies and their front lawns, even out in the street, and banged saucepans and anything they could grab to beat the drum for the NHS. Tremendous support. Now, at the time, I personally expressed reservations, but I know that a number of medical people were also skeptical of merging our surgeries. And according to the paper, the biggest frustration is trying to get to see a GP. Now, as far as I'm aware, my surgery, which is St Andrew's surgery, is it is no bigger and no smaller than it was prior to the creation of I can never remember the name of the new lot. It's a word meaning based on a foundry. Is it foundry? Yeah, foundry. Because it is based on the industrial empire enjoyed by a chap called Every, who built a big steelworks in the North Street complex. But Foundry is a combination of 4 or 5 local surgeries, all under one administration. And I'm sorry, I agree that it is not working. I haven't been able to get to see a doctor for ages. Now, I have to say that that it did work. I had a slight visual problem when I was reading some text, some news text. I started to not be able to read it. And it is Dr. Jason Heath, who heads up Foundry, was on the phone within 20 minutes or so of me reporting this to the surgery. And he referred me, and I went or didn't go, but once again on the phone, I was diagnosed. I never left my flat. I never left my apartment. The whole thing was done with me sitting at home. Now, on this particular occasion, it turns out that it was just an aberration, and it is not reoccurred. But they were all the signs of me having a stroke, and they leapt into action very quickly. On that front, I can't fault them. When the doctors and the support staff, the nurses and the receptionists in the main deal with me, they are pleasant, helpful, and kind. That part is working okay. But then again, it worked okay before. When I tried to see a doctor fairly recently, I mean, within the last 4 to 6 weeks, I have signally failed. And the last one was that that one of the receptionists was not particularly kind or helpful, because I was mistakenly told I misheard to go down to the surgery at 8 o'clock when it should have been 8:30, and my mistake was made. I turned up just as the receptionists were going in. And I shook my head and said, "This just isn't working, is it?" And she looked at me and said, "It is in here." Now, that is not PR or marketing led. That is driven by the needs of the organization, not the needs of its clients. If I can give you an example of that to clarify, for instance, for the longest time, the rail companies, and to some extent they still do, make it a priority that their trains should be in the proper places for the start of each day's business. And if that means turfing people out at Haywards Heath from a train so that it can go directly to the depot rather than come to Lewis and you wait for the next train, that is led by the demands of the organization, not by looking after the client, the customer, the passenger, and getting him or her to where he expected and anticipated going. The comment by the receptionist showed that they are now focused on making sure that everything goes tickety-boo inside. And if that means upsetting a few patients or not putting into place systems that look after the patients, so be it. It was bound to happen. It was almost inevitable. Because surgeries, doctors, the medical profession believe that they're quite different to anything else and that the normal rules of markets that don't apply. Well, that's not the case. And it is the case of having a medic really in charge of an organization which is dealing with the public. They should concentrate on producing the product, quite right, which is what they're doing. That they should have somebody who is a good, tough administrator, manager, somebody who understands how the system should work. And I'm afraid that it's a sign of the public relations profession nowadays, which does it no honor whatsoever, is it doesn't matter what it has to do, but it puts a good gloss on an organization. But you may say, but isn't that what public relations always did? No, it did not. What it is set out to do is to get a good relationship going with its customer, its client, the passenger, or whatever, but by painting a picture of where it is. Excuse me, because we are sitting on the ground. I'm sorry, I can't answer at the moment, Philip. But if you're watching, you'll. I'm anticipating that I shall finish this broadcast at 5 to 9 and hand over to you so that you and John can have control. And if you'll permit me, let me sit on the sidelines. But for the moment, let us go back to the foundry. And it is almost impossible, unless you actually collapse, to get to see your doctor. Now, at my age, I have a letter. I can't find it anymore. It was 2-3 years ago, which says that I had a dedicated doctor, and that this dedicated doctor would know everything about me, and that's with whom I would deal. Well, I asked to see. First of all, the receptionist didn't know anything about dedicated doctors, so that bit hasn't seeped through. So internal public relations is lacking. I was told the last time I asked to see the dedicated doctor that she was booked up for 6 weeks and that I should see somebody else. And even then, that somebody else was not available immediately. And yet at one point, not too long ago, I went in and I mentioned that I got some pains in the chest. They locked the doors and wouldn't let me out. Sent for an ambulance, and I was carted off to hospital because it was a heart problem. Now, much as I didn't like being taken away like that, that was efficiency. They knew that if I got any sort of heart problem, it needed looking at straight away. Well, now, how the hell do they know if I got a heart problem? It's not. Well, there we are. We got Philip with us. Good morning, Philip.
Yeah, the reason you got me on is that I started with Susie 10 minutes ago, which is the time allotted to me and her, and you're still on, and I can't get the stream going unless you log off.
Right, I will log off. I will log off now. I'm sorry. I thought that it was 9 o'clock. You were going to take over.
Because she works. I keep trying to remind you of this. She has to leave for work at 9:15.
Is what? Sorry.
She has to leave for work at 9:15.
Right. Okay. Well, I will end my rant now, and you carry on. Okay.
Well, I'm going to send you a link.
Yes, that's fine. I'll join you, but I'll get out of this link.
Please do.
Yeah.
No offense.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to people because I've been with you for the last hour. Not last. Sorry. Well, 40 minutes. So we'll log out and we will join Philip and Susie.